Good morning, everyone. My name is Andy Fan. I'm a CEO and the founder of RTBAsia. Just for your information, RTBAsia is not a DSP. Every time we were asked about this, what does RTBAsia mean? RTB actually means real-time blocking. We are an ad verification company in China. Our primary market is Asia, and most of our team is in Shanghai. I hope this PPT is written by myself and our engineer, who is not a native speaker. I will be better at answering questions instead of delivering a long speech. This little interesting project is called DIF. DIF stands for Distributed Invalid Traffic Filter. It's a project we did together with China Advertising Association and MMA China. MMA China is the division of MMA. This project is designed to be a collaborative effort to filter invalid traffic, to make the whole process more transparent and more efficient. This project actually is open to everyone, open to the whole ecosystem in China, including AdTech companies. Usually they are the main companies like taking part in this kind of project. But interestingly, we have publishers, advertisers, agencies, even like industry associations and academic institutions joined this effort. We want to make this as really an open initiative. RTBAsia is not the only company behind this project. We have the organizer. The project organizer is China Advertising Association and MMA. Together, they did quite some other interesting projects. One of it is very similar to the Open Measurement project, like IB Tech Lab did. It's a measurement SDK. RTBAsia was elected as a team lead for invalid traffic, general invalid traffic data list working group. This working group's goal is to produce a universal data list for company to filter invalid traffic. And now we have over 30 members joined this network with live nods. Some more details about how we come to this idea. RTBAsia is an ad verification company. Right now is under review by Media Rating Council, together with China Media Rating Council. We understand the framework of invalid traffic very well, and we know it's a complicated challenge. You know that invalid traffic in China accounts for about 28% in terms of impression. So far, they're not a dollar value yet. It's a big challenge. In order to tackle the whole challenge, it will be really difficult to tackle it from as an entire problem. We want to be laser focused on one thing, which is according to the definition of invalid traffic. One part is called a general invalid traffic. Just for information, people in this room may not familiar with the detailed concept and the definition of invalid traffic. For this general invalid traffic, it can be filtered through a static list, usually through parameters like user agents, IP address, and device IDs, etc. And also could also by behavior patterns like a high frequency. By definition, it can be. It's a lowest hanging fruit to tackle. The GIVT impacts about somewhere slightly below 2% of the entire digital budget in China. Last year, the amount is almost that's 40 billion RMB. 40 billion RMB in the total digital market. So you can imagine 2% of that impacted by the GIVT. So the China Advertising Association, together with MMA, decided to working on a universal list, updated periodically for everyone to share, instead of keep that as a secret for one company or one entity. So we started this little project. As a first step, we want to do one thing, which is to generate the list in a very efficient and transparent way. The whole process actually doesn't begin with blockchain. I have to say, we follow the old way of working, even though the whole advertising industry has become problematic in real time. The way of producing this list is still using the old way. We're using a conference call, email, chat groups, and also the code hosting project, code hosting platform. It takes 6 months to deliver the first version through the offline working process. During the whole process, every member realized this is not the way to go. We need something better. We have clear issue identified. One is efficiency, clearly. And the appealing process is complicated. If something goes wrong, we want to initiate a reassessment. It's really complicated. And also, there's a transparency issue. Who did what? Who contributed what data? And what finally come to this list, which is going to impact almost 2% of the impression, total impression. And blockchain is a clear solution because it addresses these issues very well. But during the same time, we noticed blockchain is not a perfect solution yet because it cannot handle high-frequency transaction. And this generally valid traffic list does not take a high frequency like a data volume. It can take in a very low frequency. People can contribute to the list at different time, and the consolidation can happen real time. First, our goal is to make this process to mirror the previous offline process. So it will be a period running in parallel, a new solution and an old solution. This is like more like an efficiency improvement project instead of a dramatic revolution gonna change everything. But it's a good start. Here's a little history about this project. The first 6 months is a requirement gathering and discussion and coding. It's a little like setting up a company, but not really a company. It's a board like governing this whole project. It takes almost, I remember it's more than 4 months to finalize the requirements. Even though the requirements are in the final product simple, but takes 4 months to confirm that. And the actual coding actually is less challenging than the consensus itself. In August, last August, the project was launched with 10 live nodes joining this project. Well, we were inspired to join this event to share it because the title of the event is called Blockchain is Working. We actually made it working. It's live. And actually, it's become the working standard very soon. Later, after we released updates, more features, and becoming the working platform for China Advertising Association, which the data list, the output data list, become the standard for China. And actually, the year was wrong. It's by the by March. By the end of March, we have over 30 companies joined with live node joined this project. And they are contributing data, they're voting for data. These nodes actually including various type of companies and entities. Here, some of the logo you may be familiar with. Some are verification and measurement companies, some are DSPs, some are agencies, and also including one of the largest advertisers in China, P&G, and the other is one of the, I think, should be the largest dairy product company, which is doing a lot of in-house programmatic. And we also have an academic member joined, the Shanghai Jiao Tong University Network Security and Privacy Group. They advised on how to take care of the privacy issue. And we have more nodes joining in. All this corporate approved to join this blockchain project. So they evaluated the whole, the privacy concern and all the data, and they use this in their DSP system for filtration and for measurement as well. And also we have publisher join. Tencent is one of the largest publisher in China. They also join and contribute data, also vote. Now the DIF project is hosting over 50,000 IP address and over 6 million device ID on a distributed ledger. The output of the DIF projects, including source of IP addresses, source of device ID. I will be willing. I'm very willing to take questions regarding the privacy. So I guess you may be thinking, how can you guys put together device ID? That's privacy, right? Actually, that takes a lot of debate. Once a device ID behaves like a robot at very high frequency and a non-human pattern, we consider it's not a privacy data, not a PII data anymore. And also it takes vote. Collectively, the group agree. Once it's agreed, then it's not a privacy. And also, it's in compliance with all the privacy protection law in China. And also, we did a very creative solution to tackle China-specific situation. For example, we created collectively we vote for what device ID is default value. I'm not sure if this happens in U.S. market. Many of the phone manufacturers in China, they manufacture phone, a low-end Android phone using the same device ID. That's create a huge issue in ad tracking. But no single company can figure out what device ID is a default value, or there's some enthusiast. They developed a specific mod, and then they refresh the phone with a new device ID. We also using a collective mechanism to reach consensus on what data is default value. And also, for publisher server IP address, we allow publisher to claim what server is your own, the server your own. The situation could be for the proxy, legitimate proxy the publisher using, or the similar setup like the SSAI. I learned this a lot about the server-side ad insertion yesterday. This will create another layer of reporting transparency in terms of default values and that not so transparent part. These are the later feature added is not invalid traffic at all, but it just improved the reporting efficiency. And this also suggested and welcomed by advertisers. We're also planning new features for DIF platform. Some potentially we could have working with international advertising organizations like IAB, for example. We're also going to working on the user agent part. For example, there's a IAB bot and spider list. We found that list may not fully cover some little details in China market. We can give that feedback and also make the international data can be consolidated with this part, since the user agent is universal. And also, we are working on domain filtration list. Domain filtration is we put on lower priority. Instead, I think in US market could be in higher priority, is because PC is kind of going away in China. It's going away. Now the mobile and OTT is dominating most of the inventory. Each node of the diff, they can do a couple of things. One is submitting the data. And also they can submit a request for reassessment or appealing in order to correct a mistake they consider a mistake or any like a controversial data. Also, the whole blockchain mechanism provides transparency. That means everyone knows every other node is doing in a transparent way. And all the nodes are using real identity. So that's a fully transparent and a traceable mechanism. And then also it provides instant data access. Instant data access itself is a major improvement comparing the old way. Actually, when the project is launched, we're running in parallel with the old way for over a quarter time. The official cut-over time is last November. The old way is stopped, and the new way of a blockchain-based solution replaced the old way. Most of the function is decentralized. It's a decentralized organization. There's a board governing it. Each node are equal. The only one feature still centralized is to have the mechanism of have a new member to join. It will generate a new key for the new member. That function is centralized, together managed by RTBAsia and the China Advertising Association. All the rest is decentralized. So any node going online, offline, or they have problem does not affect the entire chain. This is a screenshot of part of the function. You may have a question asked why this whole blockchain-based thing is UI-based. It's the whole idea is the first step we want to mirror the previous workflow that everyone's agreed upon. So still the data going into the system using a UI to upload. The output is using the UI to download, but it's fully API ready. The original design actually to make this a very fast mechanism. It's capable of consolidate data every a couple of minutes, and a low incoming data every second. But it's designed in a way that mirrors the old workflow, actually make this project successful. It's because when publisher and other entity join in, if you introduce a new concept that's totally different from the old one, then the adoption rate will drop. So we make it slow. It's like a wheel capable of running really fast, but we keep at a very slow pace. This benefit give time for the other every entity in this blockchain to have a waiting time before a release candidate is released every month. Now it's running still on a monthly cycle. At the beginning of the month, there's a data collection period, and there's a evaluation period, and then there's a release date of the data of the GIVT list data. Here I want to share some of the rules we built in the smart contracts in the DIF network. All the rules are decided by all the working group members together. It acts like a board. For example, it takes 2/3 of the vote to decide on most of the rules, change of rules, and also take for example, the board decided for any IP address goes to the blacklist, it takes at least minimum 2 votes. Also for your information that in the whole process, we also eliminate all the possible IP addresses, which is dynamically recycling. That's one reason. Another reason is for privacy reason. All those are static IP address will go through this list. And for every time I introduce the mechanism, I'll be asked about how to remove data if something's wrong. Any node can submit a appealing request or reassessment request to the node, and if they want a collective vote, then submit the request. It takes 4 out of 9 of the total network members to vote to remove the data. This is one way. Another way is a shortcut. Actually, the whole offline communication mechanism still work. It's because you can find through the transparency mechanism, you find out who submitted the data. Which 2 votes get the IP address or device ID into this list, and you found them, contact them, convince, provide your proof. Then just ask them to remove the submission, to revoke, to roll back their data, and the next consolidation will automatically remove this instead of going to the vote. DIF is developed based on Hyperledger Fabric and IPFS. We didn't use any token to simplify everything, and the hash data is stored on Fabric. Clearly, you may easily figure out, and the list data itself is stored on IPFS. All the code is hosted on GitHub, and the hardware requirement for any entity to run this node is minimal. You can tell it's a very small machine. Basically, any cloud minimum size of the cloud computing can take care of that. The process to join DIF in China is actually quite straightforward. First, this is open to China Advertising Association member and MMA China member only. So the members submit a request to the subcommittee called the Internet Advertising Committee. Then the advertising committee will approve every application. After the approval, RTBAsia will provide tech support to the joining company and set up the node. There will be a function test, then go live. It's usually the process for most of the companies we introduced in the previous pages it takes less than 2 weeks to get a node live online. This does not take a lot of skills. The company don't have to learn how to code Hyperledger Fabric. They can make this online and use it. RTBAsia has been the coordinator and the requirement management, and we contribute most of the code to this project. There's a lot of learning we can share. One of the most important learning is leave enough time in the requirement gathering and make sure consensus is reached before coding anything. Because for the part of that, basically this mirrors the previous offline way of working. So itself is more challenging than the technology part. And another learning is because many of the members joining are large organizations. For example, you may heard of BAT in China. They have many units and they bought a lot of companies. We actually have a PwC advising the whole group unofficially. So far we haven't passed the corporate improvement, put their name on it. They advise that each member should be, we should identify each ultimate beneficiary owner clearly. So the vote doesn't come from the same entity because they're huge. And no matter how big they are, it's equal in this deep network. If you're being a BAT company or a small startup, you've got the same right to vote. And then the whole membership is a whole UBO identification process piggyback on the China Advertising Association membership, so it simplified a lot of things. So this is our KYC, is similar to the other blockchain projects. And also another learning is if we want to make a private chain successful, this is without token incentive or other incentive at this moment. So we found that to have an advertiser, to have different parties participate in, especially advertiser, gonna attract more participants. For example, when P&G decide to join, actually Live is not, more companies joining this network. Our future plan is, even though the name of this project is called Div, is simply because we couldn't figure out a better name for it. But actually, our engineer actually designed the logo. If you see that logo, now it's a minimum viable product, but actually it's working very well in the production mode. We believe there's no boundary. The requirements for next phase actually coming from all also this little board, all the companies. We have decided to keep the basic feature as a non-profit way of running it. It could be other later premium feature to add on top of it. This extended feature could be we are evaluating first using this to resolve the IP geolocation issue. It's a huge issue in China because China is large, a lot of carrier. Many of the ad budget is wasted on the wrong geo-targeting. And also is to actually a couple of advertisers raised they feel that besides the invalid traffic or fraud in advertising, they found that the influencer fraud is a really big issue. Influencer fraud, so far there's no mature solution for that. Basically the pricing of influencer and other things are very challenging, even for purchase department to approve a payment. So they want the whole working group to explore anonymous mode to allow advertiser to vote and rate influencer they are using, and also using the mechanism to log issues they had with influencer. This is something we've been evaluating because that also has a huge impact on how they spend their marketing budget.
And just to clarify, this is the social media influencers.
Oh yeah, social media influencer. Yeah, in China we use the not so a word short called KOL because it's easy to say, and actually stands for influence marketing. That's about it for the part I'm sharing about the DIF project today. I'm welcome to answer. I would like to answer questions you may have. Yes.
So China's a little bit different in terms of getting a full IP of
Yes.
users, right? As opposed to, I guess, other markets. How would that affect the, I guess, affordability of your solution across the world?
Yes. Yep. We know that for example, Google system in China, they don't use full IP, only using the C range. That's gonna impact the accuracy. But actually, it's still working. It's because most of the static IP is IP range. So if it's belong to a data center, usually if you a way to use it is using the whole IP range instead of a single IP. That do have some impact. But actually, China is moving to IPv6, and the granularity will improve. The whole it's incompatible with IPv6.
You mentioned that there's a process to undo mistakes or
Yeah.
to follow up with votes that maybe they take them back.
Yep.
But the premise of blockchain is that it's an immutable ledger. How do you actually do that?
Actually, to correct any mistake takes a vote. It's when, for example, in the process I mentioned, any node can submit a request to re-evaluate. For example, it's an IP address or device ID. Then the submission is logged in the ledger, and the vote is logged in the ledger. Only enough vote to trigger the another entry of a reversal or revoke the previous entry. So when the consolidation happens, actually to go through all the ledger. So that means that everything is traced, logged, and reaching only the consensus can change the data.
Also, I think you had mentioned earlier when we were talking that the actual data is in a separate IPFS database, so it can be actually deleted or managed better than just being on the blockchain.
The hash data or the records, the ledger is in the Hyperledger fabric. The data is stored on IPFS.
Any other questions?
On the previous case, which you raised when you have a reversal, are you able to then track it as a revision to the underlying vote? So are those channeled and tracked separately as revisions and discrete to that individual vote, or is it just a general revote or reevaluation where the original vote can either be reversed or not?
The question is that is it like a reversal of the vote, the original vote, or is it a separate process? Is that correct?
Right. So basically, you're able to trace and track any kind of revisions or material changes to an underlying transaction.
Yeah, whether you can track the reversals and the appeal process later on.
Yes, the reversal process is like first it's address the issue specifically raised from the node, and it is logged and clearly in the ledger. So any changes, and also the vote is with clearly with all the details. Who voted on that? Who voted against it? Who voted for it? So it's not just a change of the previous data. It's also it's like a new set of data created.
I understand.
Yeah.
Yep. So why did you choose to use IPFS for this instead of some other storage?
That's a very good question. Actually, at the beginning we tried to store everything on the fabric. It doesn't work, and we evaluated other file because you know what we know the data may grow very big. at this moment, it's only taking care of this amount of data. Potentially, if we process other type of data, we want to leave the flexibility. The data itself could grow really big. The same mechanism may work, but the data will grow. Yeah.
You mentioned IPFS,
Yeah.
which is it's a public file system. Are you like encrypting data, or can I go to IPFS and download this data?
The IPFS actually stores the raw data submitted. Every time the consolidation will grab data from the IPFS and run a consolidation smart contract according to the rules set up by the group. So IPFS stores the raw data.
Okay, so I could potentially go ahead and download all this device IDs from IPFS?
Yeah, the device ID this is a fully transparent system. Any node can see what else contributed what data. It's fully transparent. So that means yes, they can download the raw data. That also built a mechanism. If you want to do something not so good to the system, it's transparent.
We'll be working with them. I've been talking to Andy for the last 2-3 times about it, how we can enable our membership here to participate in this network and contribute to that and take advantage of that.
Yeah, if you do spend some of the source. Yeah. China could be the source for international invalid traffic, possibly, and also the user agent could be another way. Actually, we want to feedback some of the learning we found in China. Does not cover in the broadcast by the
We
list.
already have a user agent standardization project within the video working group because of the OTT. It has been reported that the user agents reported from OTT devices are not properly formatted or don't have the full information to be able to recognize what kind of device it is. So there's already work happening on that front.
Yeah.
Any last question?
Yeah. What kind of reciprocity requirements do you have of your members? It seems like you could have members who are just reading data from this and not contributing anything back. And I was wondering if that is part of your terms of agreement for participation.
You mean what rules each node should follow in terms of submitting data, right? Oh yeah. First, is the framework of definition of invalid traffic. For general invalid traffic, we follow the definition set up by Media Rating Council. What should be considered as a general invalid criteria for general invalid traffic. Also, we put additional rules there. One is do not report household dynamic IP address, because for this moment it's a source of fraud. Next moment it's become that's one of the addition we actually it's from the discussion of this group. This doesn't come from MRC. All the rest definition coming from the MRC's documentation and the China standard, which is very similar. Literally, it's the translation from the Media Rating Council document.
So I think one question was that can you just be a node and just read the data, or are you also required to continuously contribute to the list?
No, actually you can do that. That's also made some of the agency company joined. You notice there's some ad agency. If for a moment or for the time being they do not have a lot of data to contribute, can they become a node just to read data? Yes. And also later we're going to figure out that how to properly evaluate the contribution of each node. But so far at this scale, it's not an issue, and it's basically improvement of how to distribute the data. You know, the old way is once we set up a list, we need to put on a server and people to download it, and they cannot get a fresh copy. This basic improvement is each node can generate the latest copy. If you don't have to wait for the monthly release.